Who's ready for Ads Week Part 2? The goals for this week are really to make sure that you feel very confident with the Facebook ads platform as a marketing engine and as a media channel. Really, as we talked about in the group this week in the discussion, Facebook has become a marketing or media channel, and that means that you need to have those ads, the pay-to-play model that we discussed last week and you read about in your readings. And I also want to make sure not that you feel really good just about building the Facebook ads, but that you feel good about making the ads work for you. So it's not just, oh, I get it, I know how to build an ad, but how do I get results that actually drive my business, my clients, my initiative forward? And part of the reason how you'll know if you're driving it forward is by building really awesome, really detailed, very metrics-focused reports. So to review last week, the number one thing you start with ads is the end in mind, and that's the reports you're going to pull. So before you do anything else, we say, where do we start? Now, some of you in the discussions last week mentioned that clicks to the website were your key metric. And I pushed back a little bit in a friendly and gentle way to say, clicks to your website is important, but what happens when they get to the website? Time on site? Do they click to sign up for a newsletter? Are they converting over to a shopping cart? Are they taking some action beyond just hitting your website? Because it's great that you push them over to your website, but what did that do for your business overall? And how can you measure the success overall? That's something I'm really, really interested in my own client businesses and working with all of the organizations that I've been working with for years. So when we think about the business console, just as a recap, the business console is your main hub for ads. And so remember, that's business.facebook.com. You can also get to it from ads.facebook.com. When you head into the ads account, there are 3 different types of roles you can have: the analyst, the advertiser, or the admin. As somebody who's building all these ads and custom reports and looking at the overall cost, you definitely want admin status, but it's possible that if you're building, say, a freelance business and you've got clients, you might have advertiser status, meaning you can build the ads, but you don't have any control over the cost of the ads or the credit card and billing, which generally could be fine for you, but in most cases, I always like to ask for admin, especially because the business holder can revoke admin status at a later date. You don't want to get into problems where you're just running into some sort of random Facebook buggy error in the business console because you don't have admin. So to recap my lecture light, for those of you who watched that piece as well, I can see by my total number of views, my very important metric. Your order of importance in terms of building an ad campaign starts with money, then your targeting, and then your copy. Now, this is a refinement from Facebook's ad strategy that's really taken focus only in the last year and a half or so. And I've been working with Facebook ads since they were built in the beginning. I remember brands started in 2007, but ads really didn't take shape for a few years after that. So, we've been all over the place with different types of ads, marketplace, news feed, different ways for billing, personal and business, but now it's really refined, really simple process. Write it down, really own it, breathe it, live it. Money, budget, the target, which is so specific, and then great copy. So we're going to go through this lecture today in this exact order. Start with the dollars. Nothing else to say. Start with the budget. Now, I know some in the discussion board said, well, listen, we're a nonprofit or we're working with nonprofits, and the reality is we don't have any money. And I will gently push back on that and say there's dollars somewhere, right? There's dollars for printing. There's in-kind sponsors. Get a corporate sponsor who's interested in seeing some results from Facebook ad, maybe a joint sponsorship where you can have their logo and your logo, or a nice video sponsor thank you, and get some dollars to put behind a Facebook ad, even if it's a small $100 a month, even, which is nothing. Really, you want to start at $5 per ad, which is really $15 per ad set. And so $15 a week will get you started. It'll get you something. It's not going to get you very far reach, but you can play with it. Really, I feel more comfortable in the $1,000 to $2,000 a month budget. If you're working with tiny, tiny budgets, of course, more money will just help to really expand that reach and targeting. Then make sure you select, as you're building through your ads in the Facebook Ads console, the type of ad you're willing to pledge for. And in this case, we want to have an auction. So you're going into the Facebook auction style, which is different from Google AdWords. And the there's a typo there. Let me fix that. OCPM, real-time editing, which is the optimized CPM model, and focus on high reach and high frequency. Now, what's the difference between reach and frequency? Reach is the number of total Facebook users your ad hopes to target, and frequency is the number of times they'll see the ad. Remember that newsfeed ads will always be more expensive than the right-hand marketplace, but your newsfeed ads will convert better. And we know that when we were looking through EdgeRank last week and noticing the type of content. So many of you commented on the content in your newsfeed and not on the right-hand side, right? So types of ad. There are 3 types of ad. We're working on a lot of 3s this week. We start at the top with a campaign, and then we funnel to an ad set. The campaign is the overall theme for your project. This is an internal folder really for you to organize all of the ads within. So you might say the campaign is August fundraising launch. The ad set is the group of ads, but you can use the same targeting group or the same overall audience for each ad set. So an ad set is a group of ads. So you might have 4 or 5 different ad sets, each of which are targeting, say, Toronto women, Toronto men, Toronto women with an income over $100,000, Toronto men over 35 who have an interest in golf, and all of those targets focus on a different ad set. And then in each ad, you need to have at least 3 different ads so that you can test copy, right? How will you know whether your ads are successful if it's the targeting or the copy if you don't test this and have multiple versions running? You can always pause an unsuccessful campaign. Start with 3, limit from there. Of course, in this class and last week, we're really throwing around a lot of terms. This is just review from last week. CPC is cost per click. It means you're intending for people, you're paying for those who click on your ad. CPM is the cost per 1,000 impressions. M is for mille. And OCPM is Facebook's optimized CPM, where Facebook is automatically bidding on your behalf while remaining constrained to the campaign budget, which is why my advice to you was to stick to a daily campaign budget versus a lifetime budget so that the optimized bidding process really puts you at the forefront of each daily bid. So, what is that point of CPC after all? You know what? I used to advocate for cost per click campaigns, and if you go back and look at ads and you Google cost per click Facebook, you'll see a lot of ads from 2010, or articles from 2010, 2011 advocating for the cost per click model. I did too. I only want to pay for people who actually click on my ad. It's just not true anymore because of the optimized way that Facebook is serving ads based on EdgeRank. If you pick a cost per click campaign, Facebook wants your ad to do well. They want users to click on your campaign. So they're only going to show it to the average 15% of users who are quote unquote clicky, people who click on ads, which means you're going to lose 85% of your users who just might see the ad but aren't naturally inclined to click. So Facebook's going to just deliver the ad to less people. What's the point? So if you're building a new campaign, build the optimized cost per click model and do an auction style. Don't bid for clicks. Remember that overall, your ad set and your overall ad budget will depreciate in value over time. So depending on how much money you've put in, you're going to see a spike after a few days as Facebook starts to figure out who is it that's clicking on this ad, how is this ad delivering the best to, then it'll optimize to those specific users. You'll see a nice spike around day 3, 4, 5, and then you'll see a drop off. And the reason why you'll see a drop off is partially copy and image fatigue, and partially because Facebook will have delivered it to all the people who are likely to have clicked on it. So you have to go in and change something, change the copy, change the images, change the targeting to really refresh that ad and encourage more clicks, because the more clicks you get, the more attention that ad receives, the more likely Facebook is to continue to serve it. You have to tell Facebook's algorithm your ad is relevant to users. When you start looking at ad reports, and we'll focus on this at the end of the lecture, you want to be looking at roughly $6 to $10 per conversion. All right, next. So now we've got our budgets. We're optimizing. We're spending little money, but focused money, or a lot of money where we can. Focusing on at least $5 per ad per day, at least 3 ads. at least, definitely more. Now let's go into targeting. And this is another point that I saw from the discussion last week. If your audience is too narrow, you're just simply not allowing Facebook to optimize your ad based on the edge rank intelligence that we studied last week. You need to focus for a minimum of 100,000 users in order to have any effect on your ad. And the reason is even though we know that the average Facebook user is logging on 14 times a day, that's an average overall, but you have a specific target and you have a specific person who's interested in making a sale or giving to your cause or coming to your restaurant. And if that's the case, then you need to make sure your reach is far enough to hit them at the time and place that your ad goes live. The larger the audience, the cheaper the overall conversion rate, which is the most important metric there is. How much did it cost me to get somebody to make a sale? And you want that number to be as low as possible. So even if you're spending $1,000, if it only costs you $5 per customer, or maybe less than that, $3 per customer, $2 per customer, and your product is $20 per customer, it's worth the $1,000 spend if you're generating $5,000 in revenue. So the larger the audience, the more likely it is for cheaper conversion. Now, you have to test this. You have to run multiple campaigns and see. It's great that your ad got clicks, but what did those clicks generate in terms of your overall business goals? And was it worth it to invest the $1,000 ad campaign? And I keep talking in low budgets because just based on a lot of the case studies many of you have talked about in the class, but certainly some of you have larger budgets, in which case we're talking about bigger overall campaigns. All right, so where does targeting fail? One thing that I heard directly from Facebook's head of sales when I was talking to him about Facebook ads, and I've been working in the BitMaker Labs ads optimization course for this as well, which is where some of these quotes have come from. Targeting fails when most amateur marketers don't target specific enough. And, we think, oh, we're building this ad campaign and, I'm from the New York Times and I want to sell subscriptions. So I'll naturally target people who like to read the news or people who are interested in politics. That's not specific enough. If you want to really find your users on Facebook, you need to go be much more clever with it. The people who are going to subscribe to the New York Times are people who are also following Forbes on Facebook or the Fast Company or the Washington Post. As you start to type in those very specific interests, you can see, even with Forbes and the screenshot here, 17 million people have indicated an interest in that. And those are people who have expressed some interest or actually actively liked that page. So the audience is there. And then if you add Forbes plus location targeting or Forbes plus age and sex targeting or gender targeting, suddenly we have a really, really key audience who is primed and ready to focus on your content. So remember, the widest reach with your most specific audience. So be as specific and clever as you can. Not newspapers, but the Washington Post or the Toronto Star with the widest possible number you can. Run different ads in different locations and remember cultural sensitivities. So maybe some copy that's going to work in the West Coast isn't going to work here. Same goes for the US, South versus North, European markets. You have to really think about copy and know your audience here. Change your interest and gender targets and consider marketing to fans or specifically making sure that you uncheck targeting your existing fans if your option isn't to tell people who already know and love your brand to see your brand. You want new people to see your brand. If that's the case, then make sure you unclick existing fans should receive your ad. Make a consideration for mobile. So when you're targeting, if you have an e-commerce brand, meaning you're looking to make direct sales off your website, the advice from Facebook is to turn off mobile delivery of your ad because right now people just aren't making purchases from their phones. So there's no point in paying for those delivery and impressions to mobile users if you're looking at e-commerce. But remember that 70% of total Facebook impressions is mobile driven, meaning the majority of the people logging onto Facebook 14 times a day are doing so from their phones. So now there's an opportunity to get their attention directly or specifically on mobile and targeting specifically to mobile users who log in frequently, mobile users who log in once per day. Mobile is disrupting everything. That is a direct quote from Facebook. So you need to really think about where mobile plays a role in your ads and whether your copy and your targeting is going to change based on mobile. And that's where you would build a separate ad set mobile, ad set desktop. Create an ad set desktop has 3 different ads, all with desktop focused copy, and then ad set mobile that has all mobile specific copy. And if any of this isn't clear to you, bring it into the discussion threads this week. Okay, look, another error, bing. As we are talking about really specific targeting, this is a huge win. Postal code targeting. Brand new, folks, so exciting. Postal code targeting, meaning you can target specific areas in a city. This is so valuable for political campaigns where we're talking about different MPPs running by neighborhood or city councilors, and local stores. If you want to have a flash sale today only, come in 50% off. Why blast that out to everybody? Only show the people who are in the actual area who are going to come to your store. Say local fans, community day, and target by postal code. You can pull postal codes, they're public information. There's lots of great ways to mass import postal codes. This is an amazing way to specifically target your ad based on a postal code. It's awesome, 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 awesome. Interest targeting. So we've talked a little bit about interest targeting with this whole idea of I'm the New York Times, I want to target people who read the Washington Post. You have to know a few things about how Facebook determines whether you fit into that interest category. There's a number of ways that algorithm is put together. Facebook says this is determined. It's not completely transparent, but we know it's page likes, it's engagement of content, meaning how the user interacts with that page content when other users post from the Washington Post. That tells Facebook, oh, I like articles from the Washington Post. App use, so if you're using OpenID or signing in from your Facebook ID for different apps, if you created an account on the Washington Post and signed in with Facebook, that tells Facebook that you're a Washington Post user, so you might like the New York Times. And remember that there's a weight parameter, just like an edge rank. Some of these items weigh heavier than others. We can guess that if you went to the effort to like a page, a brand page on Facebook, that would weigh more heavily than maybe engagement of content. So we certainly know that the way that Facebook determines if you fit into an interest category is highly algorithmic and highly intelligent. Some of the really, really interesting uses of interest targeting that I find fascinating are things like early adopter, which is an interest category. Technology early adopters are determined by Facebook as users who have logged into Facebook, say with an iPhone 6 within 3 months of the first announcement. So if you bought an iPhone 6 within the first 3 months of Tim Cook coming on stage and saying that it was coming out, then Facebook determines you're an early adopter. And then think about it. Then you can build an ad that says, got the latest iPhone, now download the latest app, and target specifically users who want to receive early adopter related content. And you can nerd out with them on the latest gadgets if your technology fits that. Even if it doesn't, just knowing that you're targeting that user, even if you have nothing to do with technology, you can get their eyes on your ad by saying, hey, early adopter. If they are an early adopter, they'll resonate with that title, right? It's awesome. And that's why you need a specific ad set just for that targeting campaign, and then you can play with different ads that have different copy and learn which ones do the best. So this is the most critical step. It's so, so, so important to determine who your audience is. It's great to play around with interest targeting all day long, but a whole bunch of those ad campaigns aren't going to do very well. They're just not going to perform. Now you might think, oh, that's because I didn't get good copy or my images suck. No, I'm telling you, half the time people aren't even reading the copy. Images matter more than the copy, but in the end, it's about delivering your relevant content to the people who actually want to receive it. And that's all about interest targeting. And targeting in general, not just interest, but also demographic targeting, location, age, etc. So you have to build different ad sets that have a variety of audience definitions until you figure out the one that performs the best. Once you figure out the one that performs the best, then you only need one ad set. But you can have up to 15, 16, 17, 20, 100 different ads with all varying versions of copy and all driven to build conversions. Okay, this sounds really complicated. Now I've built my audience. What happens once I actually get that audience? Well, you can save it. So you can start by saving that target group. So if you find that audience, you know it did well, make sure you save it so you don't have to go back and build it all step by step, because as you'll see this week when you're building your audience targeting, it's an onerous process the first time. So once you know you have an ad set that's performed well, save that target group. Save, save, save. There are 2 other audiences that you can build that doesn't require the same level of guesswork. And this is where it gets really exciting. So the custom audiences allow you to upload your email list, a list of shoppers, those who have subscribed to your account, those who created an account on your site, those who have given to your fundraising campaign, those who crowdsourced with you, Indiegogo, Kickstarter, etc. And you can upload as a custom audience and then have your ad delivered to all of those users who are on Facebook. Remember, there's going to be some common error that maybe the email address they signed up for your newsletter is not the same one that they are on Facebook. So you're going to have some margin of error, but generally it's pretty awesome. You can also not target these users. So if you're going after, let's say your call to action for your ad campaign is to sign up for your newsletter. So you could upload a custom audience of all your newsletter subscribers and say, show it to everybody except these people, because they're already on my newsletter, and then have some more specific targeting with it. But generally what you want to do is say something like, let's say people who have bought at your online Shopify store before, and say, we miss you, come back, 15% off to our most loyal customers, and have that delivered to people who have actually bought on your store before. It's so exciting. And this is how we're going to make Facebook really powerful for your business and really work for you. Are you ready? It's exciting. The last piece that's so exciting and a step up from custom audiences where you're uploading your own email list is to create a lookalike audience. A lookalike audience is one where you actually don't see who the ads are being delivered to, but Facebook determines that those users look like your custom audience. So if your custom audience, let's say, are people who shop on your online store, and the majority of the people who shop on your online store are women who have had a baby in the last year, who log on to Facebook in the early mornings because they're breastfeeding, and they're up in all hours, and that's when they make an online purchase. So you can deliver it to the people who have made your purchase, and then when you create a lookalike audience, Facebook will deliver it to all other users on Facebook who match that same sort of criteria. And all you have to do is bring in your custom audience that has some sort of definition to it, and then specify the location you wish to target, and Facebook will do the rest of the work for you. And then all you do is import in your lookalike audience as part of your ad set, and then add your copy. So you go step 1, budget. Step 2, lookalike audience. Step 3, copy. And I'm done. And this is where Power Editor starts to become so powerful. You need to get into Power Editor this week because you need Power Editor for custom audiences and lookalike audiences. All right, that's the wrap up of targeting. The last piece, copy. So now we know our audience. We've nailed it. We're seeing which ads outperform others based on our targeting. So we know our target audience are, we'll go back to New York Times, we know our target audience are people who read Forbes and are around the ages of 25 to 35. So now we need to focus on copy. Thinking about copy, you need to think about the different ways that content is distributed to your target audience. How much of that ad spend is dedicated to promoted posts, so promoting the actual page content that you build on your brand page, versus just content that you don't promote at all, versus a traditional advertising budget. And what's the value of putting money in each area? And I would love for you to answer that question as we start to talk about different ad budgets. Think about that frame of which type of ad and content delivery makes the most sense for your campaign and your target audience. This is a recap from last week. When building copy, let's say your goal is to promote your website. Think about strong call to actions. Think about the language and the images that are going to convert. And then one thing I want to add on top of last week is some people said, oh, I'm most concerned about CTR or click-through rate. But what good is click-through rate if it's not converting through to sales? So I would say promoting your website is important. Tracking conversions to some sort of action is more important. So when you're writing the ad, remember you're limited to 90 characters, so your images really should be where you spend the bulk of your time and your creative energy. The text, honestly, I've seen lots of A/B testing on text. Sometimes text matters, images matter more. So we built our copy, we were clever, we were funny, we looked at all of this last week. We built engaging images that captured our attention, we've targeted our audience, and we've built an optimized cost per mil or cost per 1,000 impressions campaign that's doing the best it can to perform. But how do we know if it's doing the best? We need to measure. So we need to go into Facebook ads, and on the left-hand side of ads.facebook.com, pause the video and head there now if you want to. You'll see reports. And reports is important, but I actually want you to click on customize reports or customize columns. It's the second button in your ads console reports. And look at all of the different ways, the different metrics that you can add. All you have to do is check a box and then Facebook will pull those metrics for you. So how do you know if those dollars you invested in your Facebook campaign are valuable to your business? In the case of looking at websites, let's look at the number of checkouts. And I'm going to show you how you can measure that with the conversion pixel. The number of people that installed your app, the number of people who signed up for your newsletter or went to a specific page, maybe the number of people who added to cart but didn't actually make a sale. That would be a really interesting measure. So you can pull all of this, these metrics and then look at the dollars in and the cost per acquisition. And once you start to understand how much it costs to acquire a client, or acquire a customer, then you know whether you can spend more money on Facebook. Be prepared to change your ad daily. If you want your reports to give you any kind of meaningful data, you have to be prepared to increase your budget and increase the length of time your ads are running. Now, if you're going to increase your budget, don't pay money for ads that are not performing well. If you're not seeing clicks, pause the campaign. Try different images, try different content. All right, so if we're going to track clicks to the website, then we need to put something on our website, a piece of code, in order to get those metrics back. Now, I'm not showing you an example of this because not all of us are web developers, and so it's not a requirement for this course that you edit HTML, but if you do have access to this, this is as simple as embedding a YouTube video. All you do is on the left-hand side of ads.facebook.com, and you click Manage Ads, and you'll see that console with all of the different options. You'll see one area that says conversion tracking. Once you click conversion tracking, you'll see this little pop-up window. I have a screenshot here on the right that says choose the type of action you want to measure. And this is where you can pick registrations, clicks, or checkouts. Checkouts to me is really important. And then once you click create pixel, you'll get a little embed code that you put anywhere in the body of your page. You should put that tracking pixel on every single page of your website so that you can see all of the places that a user went. And all of those reports will be automatically fed back to Facebook in the report section. All you have to do is paste this simple bit of code. So here's the how-to if you are going to do it. It's really simple, 3 little steps. Ads.facebook.com, click Manage Ads. Click over to conversion tracking and then create a pixel. Copy and paste the pixel code in the body of your website and every single page you want it to track. If this makes no sense to you, ask a developer. All right, so we looked at dollars, targeting, and copy. But in the end, what I really, really want you to take from these 2 weeks, 6 full hours of work and time and energy on Facebook ads is what value is this campaign providing to my business? What is all of this time and energy and money really doing? Please answer this question as part of your homework for this week. What? Homework? Oh yeah, building ads. So here we go. We're going to build an ad set, and you just learned what that is, with 3 different ads. I want 3 different copy and website for each ad. I want you to define one target audience group, so one saved target group. Screen cap that definition and build. I don't want it in a Word doc. I don't want a big long thing. Just build it in Facebook and then do a quick screen capture. If you're not sure how to do that, spend some time on Google. Every computer can do it. Screen cap your audience definition. Make sure you capture reach in there so I can see where your total audience reach size is. And then show me your 3 ads with different images and copy, and then define how much you're willing to spend for that ad campaign. Now, if you're ready to actually build, then do this for real. Do the work for real. That's where you'll get the most value out of this course. And then come and bring your real life ad questions to the course. If you're not ready yet to build, then build a test one and just don't launch it yet. Now, Facebook's going to require that you launch the campaign in order to save it, hit launch, and then immediately go back and just pause the campaign. It takes Facebook 3 hours to deliver an ad after you hit go. So even though you hit go, it's not going to go anywhere for at least 3 hours. So you have the time to go back and hit pause. So once you're done your homework, and of course the quiz for the week, make sure you also head over to the discussion board. Don't forget that this is worth your final mark in the course. I want to know about which ads metric in those custom reports is important to you. I really want to know this big question about the value of your ads campaign to your business. And then I'm just curious about how much money you're willing to spend and budget on your campaign. And I think everybody will really learn this. I can tell you about the budgets that I've spent for my clients, and I've had a whole range of clients all over the place, big budgets and small. But I'm really curious about you as you're taking this course, how much money you think your client, your employer, your business is willing to spend on Facebook. And if you're ready to run an ad, then maybe share some of the early metrics and reports that you're receiving. All right. Head over to Lecture Light. I'll see you in this week's discussion, and I hope to see more of you chatting sometime before next Monday when the next lecture will be up. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.